Autopsy. Why not strip down boilers, go through the whole process with you and share that information of what I find, what you're looking for. I'm going to start this series, and this week's one is a Vaillant Ecotec, and it's a roadkill. So it's one at the side of the road. Clearly the person had thrown it out hoping that the scrap man would take it away. I drove past from another job, saw it and thought that would be a fun idea for the channel. If you like the idea, leave a comment. This is the idea. I got myself a new uniform. Thanks for watching. Let's go have a look. Well, just picked up that boiler, the side of the road, so we'll take that back. I have no idea clearly what's wrong with it or why it's been taken out. So let's take it back and strip it down. Anyway, see you in a bit. Let's go to work. I'm going to take this out of the van and straight away. Clearly a lot of rust. Holy moly, what a mess. So what we could do, I guess, is we could give Vaillant Service a call and see if they'll repair it for us. This is the boiler that I found out on the street. We're going to strip it down. So here we go. That's usually wrapped around there if I remember rightly. It's one of the ones with the copper pipes. It's got a spider in there too. This is the air intake, which takes its fresh air from outside into the casing to cool it down. You've also got a pressure release valve, which is in here, and a condense outlet here, and obviously the condense trap here. Electrical connections go in here. Take this apart and find out what's actually wrong with it. I have no idea what it is, so we'll do some tests as we go along. It's had a new diverter at some point. Well, it looks very clean. 2010. A couple of resistance checks. A gas valve. Last two terminals. Yep, that's okay. 50 ohms. Tell you what, so that you know what I'm doing, let's get a brand new one for you to check against. Here's a brand new one. Got 50 ohms on the old one. Check on the new one. 49. So well within tolerance. Just check thermal fuse. I'd be very surprised if this has gone, but anything's possible. So that's gone. Right, if that, unless there's a short up at the top. Oh, right, so that pops out. Okay, bingo. That's supposed to have continuity across it, so it would appear that that has blown. Thermal fuse. So let's have a look inside the heat exchanger. If you were changing a gas valve on this, clearly isolate the boiler. You would then undo the stainless steel anaconda here, which has got a fibre washer at the end of it. So that comes off. Undo the leads. And we'll see what it looks like. Okay. I wasn't expecting it that quick to find out what was wrong with it. I guess when you consider how much a boiler is, what a new heat exchanger is, because you can't buy that thermal fuse on its own. Yes, you heard me correct. You cannot buy that thermal fuse on its own. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the rest of this out. Another thing that's very strange on them, they just did that. And I found that sometimes you get, you know, an engineer would just, well, not even an engineer, just you do routine servicing, or you'd change a pipe or something and people wouldn't know that that had loosened off, and before you know it, that's dripping over everything. So this just pulls totally off. So this is the cowl up at the top to allow the flue to be attached to it.
4 of these.
They're really good, these screwdrivers by Wearer. So the ones that I've got, you've got a set. I've added these 2 bit 3/8 and 1/4 drives, so you can actually fit that straight into the power driver. But these are super because you can have a compact set of screwdrivers, Phillips, Posi and Torx bits and flats. You've got quite a compact set in one little carry bit like that. They're not cheap, but that's quite a sizable tool set. So you can spend so much on all of these tools. You don't need all of this. It just sometimes makes your life a little bit easier. Undo them, and that's your flow thermistor. And it's the same on the return, so the PCB looks for a flow and a return temperature of a certain value. Just for reference, the return will be a cooler temperature, so it's the blue set of cables, and the flow, just in case, is the red one, the red and the black. So when they're linked together, so you know that if you do take them off and you're not sure, that's the way it is. I'm actually going to take the expansion out.
So this expansion vessel, you can hear it hissing a little bit. Crazy.
And we'll just undo it up the top. On the old ones, they used to have a hook here.
2 screws at the top, this little bracket here,
So, pretty empty. So this is a 9-year-old, 10-year-old boiler. What they call an F75 kit. Spider-Man. You don't want to be scared of spiders doing this job, do you? So, oh. That's exactly what I didn't want. Every time without fail. There's a load of water in there. So pretty murky water, I have to say. My lovely home. Just going to gently grab a hold of this. We're not going to wrench it to pieces. This can be a bit, once you've got them moving, they're okay. Yeah, so this is the little thing that the doohickey that they put in. So a little bit dirty. So they put this on the return. It used to be down here in the hydro block, but they changed it because they found that there's a filter in here, which I'll show you, and that used to get blocked. So, and it used to not sense the change in pressure when the pump used to run. So this one, to be fair, on the return isn't too bad. So yeah, and then you would, I mean, they're always going to have, this is kind of one of the Achilles heels of the Vaillant boilers, this sensor. The amount of these that I've had Vaillant come out and change, which they gladly do. There you go. And that's the famous water pressure sensor. This they changed, so where this, they used to on the older version have a piece of rubber pipe in there, and a lot of engineers used to see the rubber pipe and feel like just squeezing it, like something else probably, but they gladly did, and all of the muck would fly into all sorts of places. But this has got what they call the F75 kit, so this is what they changed it over to. So copper pipes, nice and rigid, work well. So, you learn so much by stripping these boilers. I can't begin to tell you. Yes, it will. Excellent. Inside of here, this clip comes out like so. Yeah. You've also got in here a filter, which I'll show you in a second. And this is quite difficult when you're changing this. Sometimes you have to change this pipe over, as I was saying, and this can be incredibly frustrating. On the new ones, this side panel comes off, so that's okay, but on these they didn't. So you would pull out there, but you need to be incredibly, this is plastic, you need to be incredibly careful, because if you twist this or go the wrong way with it, it will, you know, give you trouble. So there you can see I'm turning it and it's moving, it's on the move. So now we've got it on the move. I'm trying to show you this as though you were doing it with the boiler attached in here. So let's have a look at this. It feels really lime scaly in there, and this has flexibility in it, so you can push in and push. If you pull one of these apart, you really want to change those parts. You'll be cursing yourself if you didn't. Let's get this out so you can see there a little bit better this issue with the heat exchanger. I'm going to take this out. Clearly here you can see the heat exchanger has got a couple of very strong red marks on it. There. Clearly that's why it overheated. So I'm just going to disconnect the rest of these little electrical connections. Yep, perfect. Right, so that's the whole of the wiring system. That's all of it, which is what I would call the hydraulic section of it all. Before we do that, we'll do a couple of resistance checks on this. And that spider keeps turning up. 15. Okay, call that 14.96. A good test is they should both be very, very similar. There you go. So, if they're both very similar, chances are, unless both of them were knackered, they're okay.
Okay. So,
Isolation valves. I use an Allen key to turn them off. So that's clearly open with the line through the middle going up and down. Off is across the pipe, across that line. And this is your drain off point. The thing that I made for draining down the system and repressurizing if there's low pressure in the system. So that would just go into it, and you've got a nice secure way of introducing inhibitor, chemicals, and taking out products as well and draining it. But that's just something I made up. So anyway, it's another nice piece of kit. This just pulls out. So you can see in here there's a rubber washer on there, an O-ring, sorry, which goes into there, and that's where the filter is. These slimline ones are great for getting on this nut at the back here. There's not a lot of space, and where they're cut down they seem to work really well. So this is what I mean here. You can actually fit these, yeah, because that nut, and you get on it nice and easy with these. We'll see if this all comes out in one piece. Rubber thing, Mr. Rubber. There you go. So that's the whole of the hydraulic section. So we'll take a look at that. I'll get rid of the boiler and then we'll have a look. In fact, removal of the condense trap is fairly straightforward. Anti-clockwise, pull. Hopefully not. You can see there probably symptoms of the heat exchanger. And then the condense itself. That's not great, is it? Through here, fills up through the pipe, fills up the sides, and then comes out there and out through the condensed pipe.